one more session, and in this particular video session I'll be starting with a new lesson that is chapter 3, human reproduction, very important for your board as well as NEET examination. In this particular video session I'll be explaining about the events of reproduction, that is in human reproduction, what are the events that takes place, and then I'm going to discuss about the male reproductive system, that is the structure and the function of certain glands as well as ducts. Okay, first we'll before we go into the actual concept, I have certain questions actually. Okay, why we have to learn this topic, human reproduction? Is it only for the examination? No, right? Because obviously we are humans and obviously we reproduce sexually. That means we should know what is exactly happening within us for the reproduction process, correct? That's what actually we have to understand each and every concept of this. Okay, so that means this topic will be very important for your life. So please listen to me carefully. What is puberty? Puberty is a stage in a person's life where he is reproductively mature. So you know that what are the characters of puberty? The characters could be like the growth of hairs on face as well as around the reproductive system, that is we call it as pubic hairs. Okay, then another one is in the case of females the voice, the pitch increases. In the case of male the pitch decreases. Got it? And also that in the case of male during onset of puberty the shoulders the broadens, and in the case of females the pelvic region actually broadens. Okay, and another thing in the female is the enlargement of the mammary glands also seen. That means in the females menstrual cycle has started. That means the process of release of the ovum has been started. That is the onset of puberty in females. Whereas in the case of males he started to produce the sperms during the onset of puberty. And what is interesting is the male remain reproductively active till he die. Whereas in the case of female, she will be reproductively active from the onset of puberty till 45 to 50 years. The reason is very simple. The menstrual cycle ceases between 45 to 50 years of woman's lifespan. That's very important actually. Whereas in the case of male, the process of formation of the sperm, that is spermatogenesis, is active till he dies. Okay, so let us see now. I have written, as I said in the previous class, that humans reproduces sexually. Okay, and even I told you that the reproduction should have 3 events, that is sexual reproduction should have 3 events: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. I have written the events here. You may wonder I have written 7 different events in this human reproduction. Don't worry about it. Very simple. See, gametogenesis and insemination comes within pre-fertilization, then actually fertilization itself, then all these things starting from 4 till 7 that are included in post-fertilization event actually. Okay, so now reproductive events. Humans are sexually reproducing organism. They exhibit certain events before fertilization. What are that events particularly? The gametogenesis. You all know that it is the process of formation of the gamete. In male it is called as sperm, in female it is called as ovum. And the process in male it is called as spermatogenesis, in female it is called as oogenesis. Spermatogenesis is the production of millions of sperm, okay, within the testes of the male. Whereas oogenesis, the production of single largest ovum within the ovary, that is oogenesis. And this process is called as menstrual cycle, and whereas this one is called as the spermatogenesis or formation of the sperm. Let us see how all these egg or maybe the sperms are produced within the reproductive system. Okay, so that is gametogenesis. And now once the gametes are produced, it could be a sperm or it could be like the ovum, whatever it is. I'm talking about sperm now. Insemination occurs. What is insemination? See, during sexual intercourse, we also call it as coitus. Okay, so during the coitus, what happens? The male reproductive system now releases the sperms, millions of sperms into the female reproductive tract. This process of release of the sperm from the male reproductive system is called as insemination. Okay, so this particular word or this is related to male. Insemination is by male, that is the release of sperm into the female reproductive tract. I call it as FRS. For male reproductive system I call it as MRS. Okay, chalo. Once insemination is done At the same time, the oogenesis also occurs where the ovum is produced within the ovary. Now it is present in the fallopian tube. I'll explain it, everything. I'm just giving the introduction of this topic. Okay, inside the what I call fallopian tube, it's waiting for the sperm. Okay, the sperms actually, they travel inside the female reproductive system and ultimately reaches the fallopian tube where the egg is waiting. And ultimately, out of millions of sperm, only one sperm will get the opportunity to fertilize. The process of fusion of the male gamete, that is sperm, and ovum is called as fertilization. Once fertilization occurs, we all know that haploid gametes fuse to form diploid zygote. It is the first embryo cell, zygote, okay, which is diploid. And zygote, which is formed in the fallopian tube, I will tell you the exact location within the fallopian tube later when I explain about the FRS. Okay, so what happens? Zygote undergoes continuous mitotic cell division. You know that within the fallopian tube, and they are rolling towards the uterus, because uterus is the site where implantation, or what we say, attachment of this zygote, that is the completely developed embryo, takes place. We call it as pregnancy. Okay, so now what happens? As the mitotic cell division occurs within the fallopian tube, many cells are formed. It looks like a ball. It undergoes certain transformational changes. Transformational changes in the sense, we will say of let us say like 8 to 16 celled stage is called as morula, then 32 celled stage is called as the blastula, then blastocyst. Ultimately, blastocyst is the now embryo, complete embryo, which actually now enters into the uterus. Okay, once it enters into the uterus, it will find a place within the uterine wall, and then it attaches like this. Okay, it's like it will attach to the uterine wall. The wall name is endometrium. I'll talk about it later. Okay, it will attach, and this process is called as pregnancy. Okay, or maybe I can say that that is also called as implantation. See, formation of the blastocyst, then comes the implantation, and implantation leads to the pregnancy in woman. So then that means we can call that woman as pregnant woman. Okay, then gestation. See, one embryo is now attached to the uterine wall. It takes lot of time actually. It takes months for the complete development, and finally it will transform into the baby, human baby, correct? That will take around 9 months. This period required for the development of the embryo into the young one is called as the gestation. Okay, so that is around 9 months. Okay, in humans. Once the gestation period is complete or completed, obviously what happens, the female cannot retain the completely developed young one within the uterus. She has to deliver it through the female reproductive system, that is called as the parturition. Got it? So that is actually the delivery of the baby. Okay, so this is called as parturition. All these events occurs in order. Remember, so that means you have to remember it in order. It could be asked in your need. Okay, so that is all about reproductive events. Just remember it.